Moving on, we have next presentation on hostile environment preparedness by Ms.Zhang Tingjun. She is the specialist, high-risk teaching instructor. Few words about her. Ms. Zhang, she would like you to, in fact, she's the former journalist. Can we have her on the stage, please? And ladies and gentlemen, can we please have a huge round of applause and once again welcome. Ting is a former journalist with Channel News Asia. She's a US licensed wilderness, EMT and rescue diver, an emergency response medic. She's a standard and wilderness first aid instructor and a certified snake handler. Okay, and she's also a former national athlete who has responded to earthquakes, to tsunamis, and to numerous natural disasters across Pacific in her capacity as the head of the Disaster Relief Agency and Mercy Relief. It's such a pleasure having you with us today. Over to you, please. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much for having me. I have a very generous 5-minute slot here before we break for lunch, and I plan to stick to that because I have another hour and a half session with you guys in the morning. So really what I'm going to do right now is just give you an overview of what Zero Risk does and why we think it's really important, and then we'll break for lunch and we'll pick up again after that, okay? Now, I think a lot of what we've gathered this morning is really, with this commitment to telling the truth comes an inherent risk, right? But I think that being a journalist doesn't mean that you have to be a martyr. Right? And I think that for Zero Risk, if we look back over the last 20 years, you guys had talked earlier about doing research and fact-checking, and we do the same thing. We have an extensive network across the world, except that our objective is very different. If I could just get that slide to move to the next one. Is there a way I can control my slide? Yeah, cool. Okay. So if you take a look here, this is our Zero Risk team that sits across the globe. We come from a variety of expertise and backgrounds. You have heard mine, but among the mix here, we have people from law enforcement, from the military, from the DEA. We have people who specialize in risk analysis, in data collection. Now, if you look here, you'll see maybe 20 people up on that screen, but behind each of those is a labyrinth of other individuals, thank you, supporting the research and work that we do that is fully intended to keep you safe when you're out on the ground. Now, what we've done over the last 20 years is we are engaged, and we have been numerous times, to investigate the deaths of journalists. And what we do is we've taken the learnings from 5 different cases, and we've used that to shape the training that we run today. All right? Now, we run training for a variety of different angles. So we would cover, for example, your business executives. We look at leadership and crisis management. It is never a single journalist that is out on the ground that is affected. There is a whole chain of people that sit behind that. And do they know what to do when something happens? Have they actually felt that fear, that cold fear? Have you felt that before? I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you genuinely did not know what to do, or you completely felt out of your element and completely underprepared, right? So this is something that we take you guys through. And the trainings are full-on simulations. So what we might have you do is we've got 5 of you in a car, and we drive that car into a bog, and we leave you there. And the doors are locked, and the car is sinking, and you need to figure out how to get out of that situation on your own. All right? So this is some of the stuff that we do. Occupational violence training. This is another big one. This was developed for Qantas, for Emirates. We started with aviation when we looked at this, and we looked at conflict in tight spaces. For journalists, sometimes this could be with a hostile interviewee who is growing increasingly agitated. It might have been an interview in a back alley somewhere or in a room that started off peacefully enough, but now it's escalating. And what do you do in terms of self-defense? It's true. I think, as Catherine, you mentioned earlier, that at some of the larger networks, perhaps you come with a whole team. You've got your whole set of bodyguards there, and you're ready. You've got your flak jacket on. But I think for many of us in the room, that's not the case. And oftentimes, you're in a situation, you're covering a sporting event. For example, in Indonesia, right? And now it became a stampede. Over 120 people have died. You're a sports journalist. You were not there to cover something in Ukraine, right? And I think when I first took this training as a journalist at Channel News Asia almost 15 years ago, we gathered all our overseas correspondents and the camera crew. And the training was for them, because the idea is that you have to seek out the hostile environment. You have to go and find it, right? But I think times have changed. The hostile environments, they've come to us. What happens if this hotel were under attack today? Would you know what to do? If you were in your own hotel room today, this afternoon, right? And something happened. If somebody stormed this hotel and they took over the hotel and your phone rang, should you pick it up? Where do you sit? Where do you stand? How do you hide in your room? What do you do? Who do you call? So these are the things that we cover in the programs that we run as well. So I'm just going to quickly give you this quick overview, and then I'm going to stop there, because tomorrow we've got time to deep dive into all of this. So some of the stuff that we'll cover in our hostile environments training course would be things like planning and preparation. I think that is the biggest thing. You spend so much time focused on the story and getting that story that you forget about all the safety aspects that are critical and key. Cultural awareness, you've got IT security, social media, do's and don'ts. You've got things like filming and reporting on a demonstration. How do you tell if a riot is escalating, it's de-escalating, and how do you get your story out and safely? What do you do if you get hit in the face with tear gas, right? It's little basic tips like that that we cover. Same thing with a vehicle checkpoint. What happens if you reach a vehicle checkpoint and they've taken the first guy away, your driver, to do some interrogation? And now they come back and they've taken the second guy away, and you're on the car with two other guys. Do you say, wait, and you all go together and you don't split up? Or do you let that guy go and you say it's safer in the vehicle? Honestly, what do you do? And what we do is we take you through all of these scenarios, and we carry this out in very, very realistic simulation training so that you physically go through it and you learn. It's almost muscle memory what to do. Now, I'm going to end on this note, because when I first took this course, again, like I said, 15 years ago, it was very physical. It's just hands-on training, and that's what keeps you safe. I'll poke you in the eyes or kick you, you know. So at this point, though, with all this time that's gone by, so has technology improved. And what we've launched now, and when I talked earlier about all this intelligence gathering, it sits here on this app, which is called the SEC app. And this is literally the heartbeat, the lifeline, the engine behind the work that we do. And this is something that journalists can have access to, agencies can have access to, and what it allows you to do is it allows you to track in real time the movement of all your staff. Now, you don't get that because this is not like a Tattletale app, all right? So they might be off duty and they don't want to be tracked 24/7, but at zero risk, we have that information. And then 7 layers of protection on top of that. But that means that if you hit a crisis button, something has happened and you need help, based on your email address being tagged to this and the security that we have that sits out of the US and the UK, we can track exactly where you are, get in touch with your manager, alert them because they might be at the opera. They will receive the same alert, but they might not be watching this, monitoring it 24/7, but we do. And what we will then ascertain is, do you need help in terms of an actual evacuation? And on the part of zero risk, we would see this through to the point of completion. So this is the work that we do, and this is the technology that supports the work that we do. So in terms of the offering that we have, this app also comes with insurance coverage. It underwrites your travel insurance. It comes with things like, right now what we're working on is within 2 minutes, you'd be able to access a doctor if you need medical advice. You don't have to book an appointment. So this has everything from medevac. It has all these different tips right here. So let's say something happens now. In your hotel room, we're under attack, right? We would send you an alert, because if you look at the screen here, you'll see there's a radius. Within that radius is where you sit, and that tells you every single thing that's happening around you that could be a potential threat to you. It could be a bomb attack, it could be an IED, it could be a knife attack. All these things show up in real time to keep you safe. On that app is also all the hospitals that have been vetted within range, all the emergency numbers that you can hit on and dial directly locally. The app contains all of that, as well as tips of what to do should you find yourself in that situation. You're in that room, in the hotel room, you know something is happening, and you can actually use that app to quickly take a quick look at a video or read something as a refresher to help you through a time of crisis. Okay, so I'm going to leave it on this note here. I hope to see you guys tomorrow morning. We do have an hour and a half, and that's where we're really going to dissect what happened to these journalists that died? What did these investigations show? And how can we prevent that from happening in the future? And again, it's not just deaths we're talking about. It's protecting lives, right? It's protecting you from harm, from injury, and making sure that on an agency level, in terms of insurance and liability, you're protected as well. All right, so thank you very much for that 5 minutes. I hope you guys enjoy lunch, and I'll hand it back to you.